Greetings everyone, especially for those that I haven't met yet. Traditionally, during these meetings on the Foundation, we focus during this second part of the morning to talk more in depth about the actions that we take within the theme of the moment that is here, aging on people. Under the European Year of Active Aging and Intergenerational Solidarity. Since the beginning of the Foundation, we have worked on creating field operations, some of them created by us and some of them financed by the Foundation under the Call to Projects that we will discuss about a little bit later. Since their creation, we have been interested in many publics. Christophe Bonduelle has talked about it a few hours before. There has been this operation called the Vegetable Gardens Robin Hood, dedicated to children under the name that, let us guess what it is. It aims at helping children visiting vegetable gardens in order to gather vegetables and then cook them. And you may agree that the children have a huge pride to eat what they have produced themselves. Another operation that was called 2000 Vegetables that was mainly dedicated to students and young adults. We have been touring restaurants and university restaurants, and it was really instructive regarding the presentation of vegetables. And another operation, this time called the Vegetable Dance, which is an operation currently going on, dedicated to precarious people and partnership with the Secours Populaire Français, which has been created in 2007 and which is ending during the end of this year. What we are going to talk about today is an action that has been carried out towards elder people that we have called Art and Nature Flavor. What we are talking about today is an aging population. A few figures. 70% of the population of European Union is over 65. If you look at the posters in the hall, you will see that in 2060 there will be 30% of the population which will be in this age group. This is something obviously increasing and we know it. Finally, the issue is that aging is good, but aging is more important with a good health. So in order to be the most longer possible in a good shape, we have talked about it with Mr. Bouillet this morning. Feeding has a role to play. It is not obvious, but it is not the only factor. It plays a lot in the fact of being in a good shape all along our lives, and it starts really early. This subject has been really important for us during these last years. We are starting in 2010 to work on this subject and have tried to better understand these populations, which are really various. There is not only one elder people. We have in fact done 2 monographies downloadable on our website. Through the different co-op projects, we have supported financially 23 projects currently dedicated to elder people. This may be cooking workshops with many generations, to give you an example. But we have also collaborated since 2 years with Age Platform, as Mr. Bouillet said this morning, through 2 actions. And now I'm going to turn to a little bit more details into the concept of this action, which we have created and is currently going on. This is an action that we want to do on a national scale and which will be taking place at a national scale in France and could be done eventually in other countries, but is currently not in our field of reach. The subject is about vegetables, which is in our field of expertise, and more widely about vegetable species. We will see that in a more artistic way. We'll see that more in the artistic way. We are really going up in the vegetable fields. And something that really appeals to us is the nutritional aspects, the pleasure aspects, and the feeding lust for all the elder people. Therefore, this is about elder people in retirement houses, and you have seen how much this is important. And there we have collaborated with the National Countryside Hosting Federation, which stands for MARPA, in the following presentation, who are hosting specialists for elder people, and we are more feeding specialists. These are little life units with independence. They are independent people who have flats and have also the possibility to cook in common kitchens. We have all gathered really quickly around a common aim, which was the importance of pleasure and conviviality around feeding. This seemed to us main elements to reach afterwards other aims of a nutritional matter, but which are not the key word. The project actors are the MARPA, as we said it before, the Louis Bonduelle Foundation, and other persons that have specific skills. Brigitte Cicchini, who is in charge of developing educational tools and is helping us here to build these tools in order to being well adapted to population. Julie Coupé, who is a cooking chef and is also really good at doing animations in these kind of structures. And Marc Touillet, who is a gardening artist specializing in arts of nature. This action has been built up in several phases. The importance of our actions, as briefly said Christophe Bonduelle this morning, in that we are seeking for actions that are measurable, reproducible and available. It doesn't simply focus on having a simple entertainment. We want to know if it has an impact and if it gives something about the level of the type of consumptions, of pleasure, of consuming, and the envy of consuming, more particularly on the vegetable and vegetal parts. How have we created this operation? We have first thought about, together with the MARPA, and on the needs that we could see emerging in this field of alimentation. And then to go further, that was really conceptual, we went to see elder people within the MARPA, and we have done a few researches, qualitative researches on the subject in order to try to understand what the people wanted to say about feeding. And we can see things like the grandfather case who has no smell but loves so much to eat. Then, before going further, we decided to put in place testing workshops which enabled us to validate a bit our cliches and see if it would fit or not, and then adjust it. We proceeded this way in 3 MARPA. You will see that we have focused on, even through the test, to take into account the regionalism, because we have done one in Vendée, another one in Pas-de-Calais, and the last one in Haut-de-Garonne. Once the testing phase evaluated, we made up an entertainment kit with references that were afterwards communicated during the following phase to all the 162 MARPA who are currently existing in France. In this way, professionals who are working in these hosting centers can then take over these actions, communicate them, and then put it in place. To give you the picture, in Haute-Garonne, a person who is in charge of a MARPA has wants already to copy this idea since it has been really efficient. This animation has really pleased people, and they're really willing to copy these kinds of animations because it's a bit like Scrabble. It's infinite, and you can carry on as much as you want it and change the products. And we thought that it would be nice to create an almanac or a book that would gather all the originals and special recipes of the people. And we thought that it would be nice and really pleasant to create an almanac or a book that would gather all the special and original recipes of the people, or to have a kind of summary that's of what people think when they think about feeding. Just by talking with a few persons, we realized that there were specificities, things that were brought up often, like traditional dishes. During the first testing parts, we focused on designing table sets for the realizations, and it's pleased a lot. And then, obviously, the last phase, evaluation, that has enabled us to realize how much it was efficient or not regarding what we put in place. Today, during the test, everything went well. People are really happy. And then with the global dispatch on the 162 MARPA, it wasn't obviously the same thing to do. We are not on the same scale. Though there has been 2 workshops that has been created. One workshop on nature arts, where, as you see on the photo, was to associate vegetables and vegetables in a ephemeral artwork. And then a more culinary workshop with an awakening of the senses, and so a bit about the questioning that was talking before Claire Sumon-Rosé this morning on trying to smell and discriminate. Of course, without going any further into the scientific side and simply staying on the playful side in order to see how people perceived it. Here's a few photos of what was carried out. The benefit of these workshops was that it helped people to gain confidence in themselves and also to come back to a certain type of action and to foster bonds. Regarding the ephemeral artworks, we can see them right now. Regarding the cooking workshops, it focused on creating little dishes that could cook immediately and that we could consume right now or within the hour. And then finally, it was uniquely done by elder people. And there was a strong wish of doing it in an intergenerational way, that is to say, to associate schools and towns. It is common that these countryside hosting houses are often in little towns, and that the relationship with other institutions of the town is really easy. And in this way, there's a deep will coming from the MARPA and from the schools to merge into this. But in order to keep carrying on these actions, we need to make things go further, since we have not realized it yet. This is what I wanted to present to you today in order to highlight the concept and the manner that we have built up these actions at the level of the Louis Bonduelle Foundation. Thank you, Laurence Depezay, for this presentation.